Was it Kenny Loggins that sang "For Once in Your Life, This Is Your Moment, Stand Up and Fight"? This is the 2024 moment for the Rams. Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Torosian, and this is RamView, the December 11th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Benched, the app. Never take a zero, never get a goose egg because you left a non-starting player in your fantasy lineup. Download Bench the app today and dominate your fantasy postseason as it is set to begin. All right, this is it, right? This is everything right now that happened in September and October. Those things are okay. They happened. Trey White's gone. The offensive line came back. Bo Limmer has prospered. Jonah Jackson's not worked out. Nakua and Kupp have come back. Versus who we thought he was. Fisk is who we thought he was. Yeah. So we're here. And everything the Rams wanted this season is right in front of them Thursday night. It's there. A Thursday night win coupled with a Packers victory at Lumen Field over the Seahawks on Sunday, and guess who goes into first place? Yeah, that's right. We're a team that was 1-4. Do you remember start of the year? We weren't saying it, but some of the KBM was that, starting 0-2, do you know what the record of teams starting 0-2 are? And blah, blah, blah. Oh, teams that start 1-3, the percentage of the teams that start 1-3. Oh, the percentage of the teams that start 1-4. We heard it over and over and over again. It's a 17-game season. It's a 17-game season. Now, we'll be the first ones here to say the Rams weren't playing very good. They didn't look like a playoff team. The back half after the bye, they've looked more like they're a playoff team. Maybe not a great team, but I think last week's victory, or Sunday's victory, not exactly last week yet, proved this is the team we thought could be the team that advances in the playoffs this year, likely to make, or we expected to make, at least the NFC title game. So it's a long season, and guess what? It's all there in front of them. They won the game, finally, that they should have lost, right? They lose the games that they should have won, right? They should have beat the Bears. They should have beat the Dolphins. And then the one that I think all of us looking into this year said, hey, here's probably the toughest one right now. The toughest one right now is probably going to be the Bill game. They won that game. Lose to the Bears, lose to the Dolphins, but they beat the Bills. So they've righted this ship, and it's all there. It's right in front of them with a win and a Seattle loss. They're both teams go to 8-6, and the Rams can go into first place. A lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Appreciate you guys clicking on and joining. Onan, thank you so much for clicking on. Tim Burns, thank you for being here. Guys, load up the box there with your questions. I'm going to get through some Ram stuff. And then before we get to around the NFL and other places in the backside of the show, we'll start taking all those questions and everything before we get to the break and such. All right, here we go. This is a divisional game. It's a rivalry game. It's a familiar game with the HCs. I mean, you figure, when did Kyle Shanahan come in? Was it 2018 that Kyle Shanahan came in? You correct me on that. But that's a long run for two NFC West guys to be facing each other. And they're good friends, and they know each other. They coach together. The familiarity between these teams is huge, right? Not only the two games during the regular season, but also the playoff game. There's just a lot of history here. And on top of all that, it's a stay alive game for the Rams just as much as it is for the 49ers. 49ers are going to fight tooth and nail because their whole season's on the line. And honestly, the Rams need to be thinking that way as well. They need to be thinking that way as well, because then if the Rams win, they become less dependent on other teams, right? They could still end up where we projected, maybe 10-7, but with a loss somewhere in this next month, which we don't want to see. But if you're 10-7, there's no guarantee, right? You go 11-6 to close the year, I think you've punched your ticket, because right now the Rams are a game back of the last wild card spot. So, yeah, it's all in front of them. Here's the other thing. I've heard a few things. People said the Rams are going to have to duplicate what they did against the Bills, right? Will they duplicate what they did against the Bills, which was almost, with the exception, honestly, the Rams got the block punt, but you make Josh Allen mortal. You make Josh Allen Sam Darnold. You make Josh Allen, I would even say you make Josh Allen Lamar Jackson, and the Bills don't score 42 points. But Josh Allen is more than a mere mortal. And I'm not dissing Lamar Jackson. He just can't make the throws that Josh Allen made on Sunday. The Rams were almost perfect on Sunday, but they don't have to be perfect against the 49ers. The 49ers are a far lesser team, okay, than the Bills. Bills are talking Super Bowl. Niners are dreaming of getting back there, and it's just not going to happen this year. They're just trying to stay alive. The Rams are better in the trenches than Frisco on both sides of the ball. They're better at quarterback. And again, Frisco's playing to stay alive. Rams are playing to make the playoffs as well. But boy, whose season looks brighter, right? I don't think anyone's fearing Frisco. I think teams are legitimately saying, now this is not the Ram team want to play, right? If the Rams can run on Buffalo, they can run Frisco. It just comes down to execution and will. And that, I think, was the glorious thing about Sunday, was we saw this offensive line do what we thought it was going to do at the beginning of the year. The Fog City cornerbacks are good, but an upright Matthew Stafford makes life miserable for opponents. To say that is so redundant. It's like saying take care of the ball, limit the turnovers, don't give up the baseline, right? We say that all the time in sports, but it is. If Matthew Stafford is upright, I know Demarcus Lenoir and Shavarius Ward are good corners. They're good corners. But if Matthew Stafford is upright, sorry, man. Kiss the baby. It's just not going to happen. And he's going to be upright if the Rams run the ball. Same formula that they used against the Bills, but the 49ers aren't the Bills on defense. The Frisco pass rush is not what it once was. Bosa is expected to play, but he's been banged up. He played against Alaric Jackson at the start of the year, and what was that, game 3? And we didn't see much of Bosa, did we? Right? We did not see much of Bosa. For what it's worth, by PFF, the Frisco run defense is 29th. And we've seen them, though. You've watched them. I don't know if they're 29th, but you know teams can gash them. You know teams can run on them. You saw what Josh Jacobs and the Packers did against them. Rams are 15th. We look at the Rams play against the run, and we hate it. But they got the Rams rated 15, and Frisco's at 29. So we know the Rams can run on them. But still, 49ers got solid corners. And again, I would say solid corners may do their job, but that running game, that'll open things up. Well, not only are Kupp and Nakua exceptional, but that opens things up for Robinson and Atwell. And as of right now, Robinson is questionable, like a lot of Rams are, but we think he's going to play. And of course, is everyone gaining more faith in Atwell as the season goes on? I think we are. I'm going to take the Rams in this game. And I know you're probably going to be mad thinking, oh, Joe, you're jinxing the Rams. But because every time I pick them, we know what happened last week. If I thought it would help to pick against the Rams to beat the 49ers, I would. But this looks clear cut. If 3/4 of this team, or it executes at 75% of what it did against the Bills this last Sunday, Rams are going to win, and they're going to win by 2 possessions. That's what I'm saying. I think it's going to happen. They just got to come out and want it. Frisco's going to be physical, right? But the Rams have the capacity to be physical right there with them. Kobe Durant has been ruled out with the lung contusion. I just hate the way that sounds. And that's a bummer because while he has hardly been Todd Light, Pat Thomas, Rod Perry, Ronnie Bartel, right, Trumaine Johnson, Jalen Ramsey, or Charlie Stooks, Kobe Durant has played well this back half of the season. He's been solid. He's been ruled out. Tyler Davis, Jordan Whittington, Davis Allen, Bo Limmer, and DeMarcus Robinson and Alaric Jackson are all listed as questionable. I believe when we saw the do not practice designation for some of these guys, it was about playing it safe. It's a short week. Limmer's knee's tender. Jackson's got a tender, foot and knee. And I'm sure they were just giving them rest unless something breaks tonight or tomorrow. And that's good. Offensive line played really well against a superior Buffalo front. There is no reason for them not to play as well against Frisco, unless it's just another one of those hiccup games that they seem to have. The offensive line didn't give up any sacks, right? Didn't give up any sacks. We've seen the improvement, the continuity of Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, Bo Limmer, Kevin Dotson, and Rob Havenstein. So, yeah, this team looks like the opportunity is right there. And this is going to be the most frustrating one of all for Ram fans, right? This is the one, the Buffalo game moved you back into the realm of total belief. A win here, a win in New York the following week, and then taking care of business against the Cardinals and the Seahawks, and everything's back on the table that everyone dreamed of. If we go back, I talked about this in Monday's show. If we go back to Monday's show, we talked about what was the high end we were thinking. We thought the high end for the Rams this year was 13-4. And that, in my mind, included losses to Philadelphia and Buffalo. We got the win over Buffalo, and the team has recovered. And we thought the low end would be 11-6. I don't think I'm misremembering this. And that's right in front of them. If this team should go 11-6, I'm not saying it will, we got to see consistency. Now we've lived the bad. We've seen the possibilities. Now we want to move into the realm of consistency. And if you get into consistency, if this team enters the playoffs 11-6, whether or not, they're division champs or whatever, right? If they're 11-6, and that means they beat the Seahawks the second time, they're going to be division champs. Then no one's going to want to play them. No one's going to want to play them. The only thing that makes me laugh, it's like, yeah, I want to win the division so the Rams get a home playoff game. Who are the Rams going to have a home field advantage against in the playoffs, right? Who are they going to have a home field advantage, right? If they win the division, maybe against the Vikings don't feel like they travel as well as the Packers, right? Who are they going to have a home field advantage against? It's just, it's funny. All right. I'm Joe Torosian, a sports writer for 21 years. Now I do RamView, thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law. And that keeps me employed. That is one of the things. We do not have a Patreon account. We do not have a paywall to go through. We depend on our sponsors. If you want us to be in business with you sponsoring, hey, let me know. But also, I write books, and my books are on Amazon, and you can find them right there on Amazon. Just type in my name, Joe Torosian, and I write my books, and I do this because it keeps me employed in my day job. I am a pastor of a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, and you can find us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual and BurbankFaithVirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual, all across social media. One of my books that I haven't pushed for a bit, but I've been told to push my books a little bit more, is Tangent Dreams. It's my first book. It's actually 8 years old. I got good reviews on it. They're on Amazon. It's sold well. It's a year in the life of a high school football player. Please, I encourage you to check it out, because every time you purchase, you help us out here at RamView. And thank you so much for your support. All right, let's see who's in the house. Oneni Vangasham, thank you, Pastor Joe, for welcoming me to your show. And thank you again for reading my comments and giving me the opportunity to share our testimony on your platform. I'm a big fan as well. All right. Thank you so much. You're welcome to be here. We're glad to have you. Tim Burns, if McVay wins the toss, receive for a change. I want Purdy playing catch up all night. That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting talk. I like seeing Detroit's done that a couple times this year. Just come out and says, we're going to kick butt. I still like I still prefer deferring and maybe getting that 2-for-1 at the end of the first half. That's how I think. But I'm not going to argue. I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns, San Francisco running back Guerrero is limited, so they will be on a fourth stringer. If you think about it, I know he's going to play. They said right now he's questionable, Guerrero. We're going to look at that report here on the backside. But, everyone's talking about McCaffrey. Everyone's talking about Jordan Mason. But we forget they also lost Elijah Mitchell at the start of the year, right? Guerrero is their fourth guy, and they could be looking at a fifth guy pretty soon, like Israel Abanikanda and was it Patrick Taylor? Is that his name? I'm trying to remember. But yeah, they're getting pretty far down the list. Next thing you know, they're going to sign Jake Funk pretty soon. Let's see. Ani, our Rams house is fully healthy now. It's time to take care of business on the road to the Super Bowl. Boy, they need to take care of business. This is the opportunity. You're 1-4. Everyone's bailing on you. Your own stadium, everyone's cheering for the other team. You're 1-4, and now you have a chance to take control of your destiny, right? It's everyone wants that opportunity. Give me that shot, and they've got it, and that's what's exciting. Tim Burns, Arizona has a 3-game losing streak. Kyler is being Kyler. Did you need to be Nostradamus to call that one, Mr. Burns, right? We've been talking about it all year, right? And now the KBM is jumping ship on Kyler. We're hearing, we don't like his body language, but you were praising him when they were 6-4, right? And pulling off wins that we couldn't understand they were pulling off. He's a talented quarterback, but he's a splash player. He splashes. He makes big plays, but if you need someone consistently, he's not the guy. And I hate to say I guarantee you, because I'll have to look stupid, but I can almost guarantee you week 17, the stuff he got away with in week 2, those missed tackles by Verse, those missed sack opportunities, they are not going to happen again to this Rams defense, and Kyler's going to eat some turf, right? There we go. All right, Tim Burns, Steeler fan Rob's team has had a cake schedule, but that defense is solid and may make the AFC title game. Yeah, and remember, he was all happy with Justin Fields. Question to Steeler fan Rob, would Justin Fields have the Steelers at 10-3 and close? They're not going to get it because it's a 2-game chain difference, but close to some home field advantage in the AFC playoffs. They're not going to beat Buffalo. They're good, but they're going to need something different to beat Buffalo. But you know what? It's Pittsburgh, and they've played well. Give Tomlin, coach of the year consideration, right? But he's milking this. No one wanted Russell Wilson, and they've made it work. Give them full credit. Steeler fan Rob, we tip the hat to your Steelers. Richard Ramos, thanks for clicking on, Richard. Teams need a fear Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and need to fear Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and the rest of the Rams offense. But that's the beauty of it, right? The 49er pass rush isn't what it once was. Leonard Floyd's getting a little older. Nick Bosa's been banged up. They got this Gattos cat who got 3 sacks last week against the Bears, but I think some of that wasn't critical sacks. He was just kind of eating at a table that was already set. But this is not a fearful pass rush. And this offense, they're going to be really – how can Nacua not put the fear of the Lord in you playing when you have to guard him defensively, right? You would just be scared to death. What are we going to do with him? And then you've got Kupp out there to account for. It's going to open the door for Robinson and Atwell. It's just, there's a lot of stuff here right now. If this offensive line can find consistency, there's a lot of stuff out there. Tim Burns, Belichick needs to go golfing in Palm Springs. 72 is a bit much. I am going to talk about that on the flip side there, Chief. Onene, go Tutu. Okay, we're on the same page. Excellent. USA Expat, do you consider Ward a cheap shot artist? I do. You know what? I hadn't put any thought to it. I just had not put any thought to it. He's played a high-level corner. Of course, he missed, almost half the season because of the passing of his child. Is he, I think the Bernard kid at Buffalo is playing some of the best corner in the league right now. We talked about that last week. Is he at that level? No. Is he going to try to be physical? But you know what? The Rams have some physical receivers. So again, He's good. I never thought about him being dirty. That's you got my eyes open now, Mr. USA expat. Tim Burns. Jameis Juju says Rams 37, 49ers 24. Okay. All right. As long as it's like 37-10, and then in the last 5 minutes, the last play of the game, they score that last touchdown. I don't have the energy to give what I gave on Sunday around my office, man. I was wearing out my shoes. Let's see. Bill, all right. If the Rams win tomorrow night, does Donald think about coming back? The dude should. I don't think he is, but the dude should, right? He really should. Well, none of us would have a problem for him hitching along on this ride. You get him, Fisk, Bobby Brown, Kobe Turner. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right? I think we'd be loving that. Let's see. Richard Ramos. It's just like when we had Kurt Warner and we couldn't protect him in St. Louis. Keep your quarterback up, not getting sacked by Warren Sapp and breaking fingers. There you go. You know, that was the one thing about what's his name's offense, Mike Mart's offense. And I felt, well, I think it shortened Warner's run with the Rams, and it shortened Bulger's career, Mark Bulger's career. Boy, everyone was in the pattern, right? And those quarterbacks just took a beating. And that's what I remember. And you know what McVay is, right? McVay says if my running backs aren't going to block, right? If they ain't ready for pass pro, then they're not playing. And so that helps Stafford a little bit. But yeah, Warner and those guys took a beating. And I'll never forget that. Onene, Rams 41, 49ers 28. I'll dance with that. Let's see. Tim Burns. No Trent Williams may unleash the hounds. 3 sacks for Verse and Fisk, or Verse Fisk combined. Want it all. I'm curious to see. That was week 3. They were still missing a lot of sacks in those days, in that early part of the season. It's curious to see. Verse will be Purdy will be a good test to see how they've elevated their game and their tackling. Everything's going to look a lot slower, and I think everything's going to look a lot easier going from Josh Allen to Brock Purdy. And I'm a Brock Purdy fan. I like Brock Purdy, but I think that's a step down, right? I'm not trying to chase a Maserati. I'm trying to chase, maybe just a pickup truck or something like that. There's just a difference there. USA expat. Rams are now the best silent count offense in the NFC. They've had plenty of practice, right? Plenty of practice. That's I don't know why it's bugging me this year, but it's just bugging me. It's just bugging. I don't know, because you see some of the media shows and they go, we're at the sports bar talking to Ram fans, and these people aren't Ram fans. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel. And so yeah, I think the Rams. It'd be nice if the Rams had a base, right? Be nice if the Rams had a base. One, V8, Jared Verse is going to be great for week 15 against the 49ers. What an opportunity with no Trent Williams. Him and Byron Murphy could eat. Colton McKivitz is okay. But, the thing about Verse has proven himself. I mean, he put Mailata of the Eagles on his backside. He worked Charles Cross for the Seahawks. He's played well against the top flight tackles in this league. And so, yeah, there is a great opportunity for these guys. Steeler fan Rob, we've had the hardest schedule in the NFL, Mr. Burns. Okay, I will say this for Steeler fan Rob. This is who Steeler fan Rob has to contend with right now going down the stretch as a Steeler fan. He's 10-3. I do not think the Ravens are going to catch you, Steeler fan Rob. But Steeler fan Rob has to play the Eagles this week in the Keystone Bowl. The Ravens the week after that, the Chiefs, and the Bengals are not an easy out. If it's not the hardest schedule to this point, it's a doozy of a schedule coming down the stretch for Steeler fan Rob. Tim Burns, deny Jennings, limit Kittle, make the 5th string running back beat Verse, Fisk, and company. Juwan Jennings had the big game. Debo didn't play that first game. And George Kittle, even though he's missed some time, is having a really, really good year. And so there's work for the Rams to do. And again, I think the Rams are the superior team here. I really believe they are, but it's coming out and playing like the superior team. All right, let's see. Tim Burns, Purdy, an F-150. You know, I've driven an F-150. I almost said that, but I didn't want to elevate him too much. Maybe he's a Ford Ranger. There we go. Ford Ranger. There you go. Tim Burns, lots of bandwagoners this week. Hey, you know what? I don't know if the people who click on RamView are bandwagoners, but the folks, the bourgeois, the folks that show up at the bougie types that show up at SoFi, you know, I have questions. And again, they don't show up at SoFi. I think they sell their tickets. All right, coaches to keep an eye on: Brian Daboll, Doug Peterson, Gerard Mayo. I think Mike McCarthy. Someone's going to hire Mike McCarthy next year. I think he's going to write his own ticket if Dallas doesn't re-sign him. And if he's in Dallas, he shouldn't re-sign in Dallas. He really shouldn't. And then Philly. Philly is something to talk about as we get to around the NFL and other places. A.J. Brown complaining about not getting the ball. His team is on a heater, right? I hate that word. I just used it. His team is just winning, right? Saquon Barkley's knocking everyone down, and A.J. Brown is not getting along with his quarterback because he's not getting enough touches. Heaven's Gate and Hell's Flames, right? They just gave this guy a fat contract. You know who people need to remember? And of course, a different time, different era. You had Zonka, Kick, Mercury Morris, Bob Greasy, the no-name defense from 71 through 73, went to every Super Bowl, took a superhuman effort by the Raiders in 74 in the Sea of Hands game to get bounced in the first round of the divisional round of the playoffs in 74. Otherwise, they may have gone to a fourth consecutive Super Bowl. Does anyone remember who the wide receiver was for that Dolphins team? It was Paul Warfield. Paul Warfield was catching about 30 passes a year in those days. Hall of Fame. And at the time he was playing, and just after his retirement, people were talking about Paul Warfield being the best and the most complete wide receiver in football history at that time. That's how well Paul Warfield was revered. And Paul Warfield was collecting rings, and he wasn't complaining. Does every receiver want the ball? Yeah. But this culture around the receiver is ridiculous. There are exceptions. I agree. A.J. Brown's pretty special when he's playing, but you're always going to find another receiver. You're always going to find another one. And he's getting paid, and he's about ready to go back to a Super Bowl, and he's complaining. And here's the other problem. We've already talked about Jalen Hurts. We don't think he's a great thrower of the ball or passer of the ball. Brandon Graham? He's the one that brought it up. This is the veteran. This is the more than a decade-long guy in this league. This is the guy that was on the 2017 team. This is a guy who's been around so long for this team. He's a veteran, and he leaks that out on a podcast, and he just stirs things up. And as great as a player as Brandon Graham is, why would you say that? Why would you bring that up? Wouldn't it be marvelous to see a Philly implosion? I don't know. I'm sorry. Sometimes you just like a dumpster fire, right? You just like a dumpster fire. And on top of all that, on Monday, Deebo Samuel tweeted that he's upset he's not getting the ball enough, and I think he deleted it. But Deebo Samuel, did you see Deebo Samuel catching the ball? Oh, no, you didn't, because Deebo Samuel doesn't catch the ball. Manos de piedra, right? Hands of stone for Deebo Samuel, right? Paid like an elite receiver, he's not, right? And he's complaining about not getting the ball. His team's fighting for survival. They're going into a short week where they really desperately need this win, and he drops a bomb like that. His head's not in the right place. This is music to my ears as a Ram fan. I think Brock Purdy's good enough to say, I'm not going to force the ball to him. And I'm going to talk about Deebo on the other side here, but I think maybe Kyle Shanahan might say we want to put this ball in Deebo's hands. But Deebo's not running against the old Rams defense. He's running against now a far more physical Rams defense. And when he carries that ball, he may gain yards, but he's going to pay for those yards. He's going to get hit because we got guys now that can hit. Okay, Browns cut Kadarius Toney. Remember the night he was drafted? And boom, he's gone. His former team, KC, the second team that took a shot at him, got him a ring. He played well for KC. They got Hollywood Brown coming back this week, and that's critical for them. I do think the Chiefs, again, there's going to be an unexpected loss on the Chiefs' schedule somewhere before the season's out because they've been dodging so many bullets. Chargers cut tackle Alex Leatherwood. And I bring this up. 25 years old, 17th overall, drafted by the Raiders in 2021. He's a tackle out of Alabama, All-American, Outland Trophy winner. I was in Vegas at the Venetian on the night he was drafted. This was like one of the most perfect vacations I ever had with my wife. Because we don't gamble, we don't do too many shows, but my wife's kind of a foodie, and that's a blessing to me because we'll go to some nice restaurants. And there was a really nice restaurant in the Venetian, and we got upgraded in our hotel room. And it was the night of the draft in the first round, and my wife picked a restaurant, and she said, "Oh, can we sit towards the bar area because my husband wants to watch the NFL draft?" Can you believe that? My wife did that for me. As I'm eating this nice vacation dinner with my wife, no kids around, she's allowing me to divert my attention to the NFL draft. And so I was there in Oakland, or in Las Vegas, sorry, when Alex Leatherwood was drafted. And, you know, the light boards along the strip, as we went out on the strip afterwards, they're welcoming Alex Leatherwood. Welcome to Las Vegas. Welcome to the Raiders. Do you realize he flopped out so bad that he was cut last year? And since then, he's been in Chicago, Cleveland, and is now leaving the Chargers. That's how bad he's played. And I bring this up because we're worried about the Rams. I'd love to think we got 5 more years to Rob Havenstein, right? Because he played great last week. We don't know what's going to happen with Alaric Jackson because he's a little due for some dough. And I'm hoping they keep him now because I'd hate to have to break somebody in. But the last 3 first-round tackles the Rams have drafted, Alex Barron, 19th overall back in 2006? I think it was, 2005, 2006. Jason Smith out of Baylor, right, 2009. Greg Robinson in 2014. We know all too well how those things worked out, right? We've missed on all of them. All those previous GMs, as well as Les Snead himself, missed on Greg Robinson. And Leatherwood is just another example. Just because you draft a guy doesn't mean he's the guy, right? Doesn't mean he's the guy. How many edges were taken? Dallas Turner. Was it Dallas Turner? I keep blowing his name. The guy that out of Alabama that Minnesota took. The UCLA kid. And everyone let Jared Verse go by, right? You just never know. So, you know, I'm always drafting offensive linemen, but these things happen. Speaking of offensive linemen, I didn't make mention on Monday. Total tragedy, probably the end of his career, I imagine. Logan Bruss with the Titans in practice suffered another catastrophic knee injury, and that's a real shame. All right, Mark Gastineau, you saw the tape of him getting angry at Brett Favre for taking a dive. I never thought Brett Favre took a dive. I thought he saw Michael Strahan zeroing in on him and said, better part of valor is not to get my butt kicked. And Gastineau looks awful. He just absolutely looks awful. All right, let's keep on rolling here. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, Purdy is an R-Pod. R-Pod trailer? Did I say that right? Okay, Steve. Tim Burns, what first-round pick the Rams have chosen that made you mad? Well, I'm ashamed to say it. I was mad when we drafted Todd Gurley. Because I think if you remember the year before, Trey Mason was sound. He played sound, right? Played decent. And Todd Gurley had the knee injury at Georgia, had the questionable knee in Georgia. And I was mad about that. I wanted the Rams to draft an offensive lineman, and because I was always in offensive lineman mode, and I didn't want them to draft him. I just didn't, and that's okay. That's all right. That it all worked out. So I was wrong. Tim Burns, we need to protect Stafford so he stays until he's 40. So I say get an experienced offensive lineman and free agent, pay the dollars. Well, you got the guy right now. Alaric Jackson's been doing the job. And if you want to spend a third-round pick on another offensive lineman, again, there are things that are just perennials to me. You draft an offensive lineman every year if you can. If you could do it in the first 150, right? If there's not the clear-cut guy that you can draft, in the top 20 or top 10, then somewhere before 150, you find the best offensive lineman and you take him and stuff. So, yeah, I'm always for taking offensive linemen, to keep your quarterback upright, Mr. Burns. I agree. Steve Ramirez, Rams need to draft Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren, where's he at, Mr. Ramirez? Let me know on that one. Okay, playoff picture real quick here. NFC division leaders, Lions 12-1. They play the Bills, the Bears, the 49ers, and the Vikings. That Viking game is going to be huge because they don't want to lose to the Vikings. They've already beaten them. And so that one's huge. So the Vikings still have a lot to play for. Vikings have the Bears, Seahawks, Packers, and Lions on their schedule. Eagles get the Steelers this week. They're 11-2. Right now, they're second seed. Then they get the Texans, the Cowboys, and the Giants. So they're going to be in preseason mode after they play the Steelers. So they'll be able to settle things down, make sure everyone gets healthy. I don't think they're going to have to play too hard there. Seahawks, they get the Packers this week at home. They get the Vikings next week at home. Both those teams should still be motivated to play hard. And Vikings and Packers could do the Rams a huge favor. Then the Seahawks get the Bears, and then they come to SoFi. Tampa Bay gets the Chargers. That's going to be a big game. Then they get the Cowboys, Panthers, and Saints. Vikings 11-2. We talked about them. Packers get the Seahawks, Saints, Vikings, and Bears. And then the Texans. Keep an eye on the Texans because this is what we want to have happen. Rams right now are in the 8th spot. So obviously, Rams need to beat the 49ers this week, right? And then the Packers beat the Seahawks on Sunday, and the Rams are in first place. But also beneficial to the Rams would be for the Saints, who've won 3 of their last 4 that only lost to the Rams. If the Saints can beat the Texans would fall to 8-6. Rams would be in first at 8-6, but Seattle would be 8-6. The Texans would be 8-6, and it would keep the Rams in the hunt for that last wild card spot. So, yeah, we are rooting against the Texans. We really want the Saints to do the Rams a solid. All right. AFC playoffs, we talked about it. Chiefs are 12-1. They get the Browns this week. Then they get the Texans, the Steelers, and the Broncos. And any kind of little trip up there, if the Chiefs get tripped up by the Browns, which I believe is possible, and they play the Texans, if they lose one game and the Steelers hold serve, could you imagine going into week 17, the Steelers and the Chiefs having the same record? And Steeler fan Rob salivating at the opportunity of knocking off the Chiefs and gaining a leg up maybe in this home field advantage. Bills get the Lions, right? Lions are going to be tough. Bills are 10-3 right now, and Steelers are waiting to pounce. So it gives them opportunity. Patriots, Jets, and Patriots twice for the Bills after the Lions. Texans are 8-5, and the good news for them is they're 2 games up on the Colts, and they got 2 victories over the Colts. So they're going to have a major collapse, but they're playing the Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens, and Titans down the stretch. Ravens get the Giants, then the Steelers and the Texans and the Browns. Chargers get the Bucks this week. That's going to be tough. Broncos, and then it slows down a little bit with the Patriots and Raiders. Broncos get the Colts, Chargers, Bengals, and Chiefs. Broncos' life and future is in their own hands. So they're in great shape. All right, college football report buys, Oregon, Boise State, Georgia, Arizona State. First game is December 20th, Indiana at Notre Dame. Winner goes to the Sugar Bowl to play Georgia. And then Tennessee at Ohio State. Winner gets Oregon at the Rose Bowl. Clemson at Texas. Winner gets Arizona State in the Peach Bowl. SMU at Penn State. Winner gets Boise State in the Fiesta. Torosian's Law number 1. Torosian's Law number 1 is never bend the knee to anyone but Jesus. Take note, Caitlin Clark. It's not going to make your life easier to declare you had white privilege. Torosian's Law number 2, never hire somebody who demands that you hire his son. See Bill Belichick and LeBron James. Big mistake by the University of North Carolina. Big fat mistake. And LeBron James. I heard a rumor today that the Lakers would be open to moving LeBron if the team acquiring him would be willing to take LeBron's son, Bronny, with them. And I've heard that in a couple places. And if I'm the Lakers, get him out. Just get LeBron out. Tell the team that you're sending him to that you'll pay Bronny's contract if they take him. Get LeBron out of the building. Start the rebuild right now and get out of it. Regain control of your team, Genie Bus. Your father bought the team. Your father ran the team. Take control of the team. Torosian's law number 3, and I know people are going to be shocked about this. Never give anyone 765 rocks for 15 years. That's 51 million rocks a year, right? Even if your team is the Mets. Just way too much dough for Juan Soto. I hope it works out. Guy won a World Series with Washington, gone to the World Series with New York, with the Yankees. And if it works out and the Mets get a World Series title and it makes the Yankees upset, and maybe I beat the Dodgers along the way, I'm good with it. But I make it a rule. No, it's Torosian's law number 3. I never sign anybody for 15 years at 765 rocks. In fact, the longest term deal I've ever made is with my wife, and that's I'm on a 33-year season contract right now with that, and I think that's going to go on in perpetuity there. So there we go. All right, let's see if we got any more questions that rolled in here. Let's see. Oh, the Penn State tight end. Oh, yeah, you caught me flat-footed. I've heard about him. You know what? You caught me flat-footed there, Steve Ramirez, in terms of Tyler Warren. That's interesting. Onene, I agree, Tim. If we protect Stafford, we can get more years out of him, more Super Bowl championships. It's a 3-year window, guys. If the Rams go 11-6 down the stretch, I do believe this thing is still open for this year, and it's definitely open in 25 and 26. Right? It's possible. I do think it is a Super Bowl window. Tim Burns, Saints likely lost Carr to a broken hand, but is that a bad thing this week? Could the Saints really win? They're playing hard for, is it Rizzy? They're playing hard for that guy. And please, please beat the Taxkins. Beat the Taxkins. Tribe, good to have you, Tribe. Thanks for joining in. Trent Williams, Mustafa, probably Bosa, Brendel, and Guerrero too. No excuses tomorrow night. No, there are none. There are none. How many times have we seen the Rams lose to a backup quarterback in Frisco? How many times have we seen them come into SoFi? Forget about the fan base thing, but the Rams were just a better team and they lost to them, right? I think this team is different. I think this team is more physical, and this is an opportunity. Absolutely. This is an opportunity. Michael Negretti, get rid of LeBunk and AD. Pastor Joe, I only say the getting rid of LeBron thing is because you have to regain control of your franchise. Somebody has to be in charge here, and it can't be LeBron. And I would move AD for pieces as well. Get over it, because you better start getting proactive here, because you're going nowhere. And sooner or later, the Clippers with Ballmer and that Intuit Dome, that new arena, which is gorgeous, sooner or later, they're going to figure it out. And they'll have the money to capitalize, and they're going to take all the momentum in this town. They will. They will take all the momentum in this town. There we go. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, hiring a father and son, Orc the Wizards, at Doherty and now LaSalle. Yeah, it's not a healthy thing. You know, it doesn't even work in church work, right? You know, Falwell left it to his son. It didn't work out. Schuler left it to his son. It didn't work. Oral Roberts left it to his son. It doesn't work, right? You just don't turn it over to the son. Stanley left it over to his son. It doesn't work, right? You need new blood. You need new blood, and that would be a big mistake with Carolina. Tim Burns, Westbrook will never win a title. He is a cancer even now, despite the cool stats. He has been a minus. Where is he at now? He's in Denver, right? Is he in Denver? I'm not sure where he's at right now. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, the contract you made with your wife goes to infinity and beyond. I'll dance with that. Hey, any woman that lets me watch the NFL draft at a really super nice restaurant like Mateo's at the Venetian, right? Got to stick with her. I scored. Let's see. Tim Burns, agree with Tribe. Don't waste the Bills win. Cannot waste this win. It's not the end of the world if we lose. There's still a possibility, but it's out of your hands. And you did the hard work. You did the hard work. This is beating the Bills is like winning the Battle of Jericho and losing at Ai, right? Winning at Jericho and losing at Ai, if you know your biblical history. They got to take care of it. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, tomorrow should be a layup. I'm worried. You're right to be worried. We should all be worried because Frisco, those, as Riff would say, they're real down boys and they want a piece of this world too, buddy boy. So they're not just going to roll over and die for us, right? They're going to be bitter, spiteful, exactly what I love to be in sports when I'm getting my butt kicked. Is I want to do something to make them remember me. I want to hurt them. I want to push them. I want to knock them down. Maybe bite kneecaps. Never considered that, but that is something that the Rams have to consider. Rivalry game, familiarity game, interdivisional game. This is a big deal, fighting for your life. So this will be, the good news is after this game, the Rams will have a mini bye. They'll have 10 days off, right? And that's huge because I think this game is going to be uber physical. Let's see. Tomorrow should be a layup, but I'm afraid. Should say worked for the word. I'm sorry, Steve. I messed up on that one. The Weirds. Help me with that one. Get rid of LeBron. I say get rid of the Chargers. Yeah. Do we need a tenant? And they don't do us any favors, right? They didn't beat the Cardinals when we need them to, right, Bill? USA expat? They didn't, all right? Manuel Vasquez. 49ers are going to try to nickel and dime the Rams to death with all the injuries they have at running back. LA 31, Frisco 20. Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, the big play capability, right? Ricky Pearsall's not a bad receiver. He's just not probably ready for prime time yet. Juwan Jennings is really good. Deebo Samuel's good. They're going to give the ball to Deebo Samuels, make him run, give him touches, put a smile on his face. But again, I think this Rams team is going to have an answer for that. Manuel Vasquez, I agree. If there was ever a game where you pull out all the stops, it's this one. Yeah. And I think you effectively squash the Kyle Shanahan is Sean McVay's daddy if you win this game, right? Because that'll be the third win in a row over them, besides the NFC Championship game, which is the ultimate. But get this one here, sweep them in the season. That's huge. Micah Gutierrez, as I always mention during the Niner week, the last time the San Francisco won a Super Bowl, half of their roster wasn't born yet. Pete the Bay. There you go. It is fun seeing teams like that go through that kind of pain. I know I'm a bitter person sometimes. And yeah, I do love to see disappointment sometimes with my enemy. Is that bad? Am I a bad person for thinking that? Jimmy 553. Jimmy, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you for clicking on. Please hit like if you can. And San Diego should build a new stadium down there and go back. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's their town. But the Spanoses are cheap, right? And this is my doubt. I think, does Harbaugh and Herbert, do they have enough mojo to overcome the Spanos' negative mojo, right? That's the problem. The problem is the Spanos family. And yeah, they got nice little rental agreement right now with Kroenke, and Kroenke doesn't need the dough. Give them an eviction notice, right? Get them out. Get them out. All right. Here we go. Steve Reyes. Jordy hired former Amat girls coach Richard Wired and his son and won a CIF. Oh, my bad, Steve. I thought you were trying to write Ward. My bad. Okay, there you go. My bad, Steve. Now I get it. My bad. Geez nuts. Just going to say 49ers suck. Let's go Rams. Okay. What's your score, Michael Negretti? What's your score, Pastor Joe? I'm going to tell you in a minute. Steve Ramirez. San Diego doesn't want them back. I think San Diego would take the Chargers back without the Spanos family. I think that's what it would be. Manuel Vasquez. Chargers are not going to leave a state-of-the-art stadium for $1 a year rent anytime soon. I get it. The one thing I will say, it seems like more Charger fans come to support their team there than Ram fans come to support their team in their own house. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone think anything about that? All right. Let's look at this game real quick here. Yeah, I think I threw this out. Brock Purdy. I think going from Josh Allen to playing Brock Purdy is going to be really helpful for this defense. Running backs, Mitchell, McCaffrey, Mason, they're all gone. Garendo's got a tender foot. Right now he's listed as questionable. Their wide receivers, Ayuk's gone. Unfortunately, they cut Ronnie Bell a couple of weeks ago. Ronnie Bell was a great contributor. He should have got a game ball from Sean McVay in week 3. Juwan Jennings is the dangerous one in terms of being a receiver. Samuel's a great player. And then Ricky Pearsall. The guy that I'd keep an eye on is George Kittle. George Kittle's having a really good year. For a guy that's in his 30s, this might be his hurrah, his last one. But George Kittle's good. At offensive line is where they've got some struggles. I've never been a Colton McKivitz fan on the edge at right tackle. Left tackle, Trent Williams is out. Trent Williams is out. I think they're going to run Jalen Moore there. So Rams have an opportunity. They're getting Aaron Banks back at left guard. He's not a great left guard, but he's had a good year. Jake Brandle's a solid center. He's not a great one. Maybe more in that Austin Blythe, maybe a little step up from Austin Blythe his last year with the Rams. And Dominic Puny, I think it's Kansas or Kansas State. He's actually had a pretty good year at right guard. But this isn't the Bills' offensive line, and it's certainly not the Eagles' offensive line. And so the Rams have an opportunity here to impose something on this offense. And, I'll say this. Debo didn't play in the first game. It was a Jennings show, right? Remember that? It was a Jennings show. Darius Williams didn't play. And I know Darius Williams had his struggles so far this year. I will, or at the last few weeks, I will give him some benefit of the doubt because some of those Allen passes were incredible, where he was there in coverage, but the ball just got through. But Darius Williams didn't play in that first game against Frisco. It was Trey White, right? Trey White's gone. And there's a lot of talk right now that Emmanuel Forbes is showing out at practice. And I imagine with Kobe Durant out, Emmanuel Forbes is going to see some snaps. If you see Forbes on the field, I don't think it'll be just because of desperation. I think it's because they really believe in him. Because if he's not at the snuff, I guess you could run Josh Wallace out there. But this is going to be interesting, right, in the secondary. The other aspect in regards to Debo playing is Debo physically has always destroyed us. But this is a different defense, right? And with the Cams, Curl and Kitchen, these are two physical safeties that he gets the ball. He's going to make payment, right? People are going to make him pay for those things. And Kitchens and Curl will do that. And if you look at Curl this last month and a half, his game is getting back up to his Washington level. He had a brutal start, but he's looked so much better and is not Cam Kitchens, let alone the pass defended last week. But Cam Kitchens is rounding into form. Ever since he got benched, I think it was against the Packers, right? He has just slowly gotten better and better. And again, both Curl and Kitchens are physical. Then you go along with Verse, Murphy, let alone Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk. This is a physical Rams team. I think it's much more physical than it was before. And Debo might not have what he used to have. Frisco used to, I think, physically intimidate the Rams. Instead, now the Rams are the danger. The Rams are the ones who knock. I like the Rams in this game 27-17. If I was fully going with what I was adding up on Sunday and seeing a lot of that, I like the Rams 27-10. I like the Rams in this game on paper and with everything said, but divisional game, rivalry game, familiarity of the coaches, life's or football seasons, the history of 2024 is on the line. So you got to throw a lot of that stuff out. It's going to be a tooth and nail dogfight. And I'm going to go with what I think, 27-17, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 21-19 game that comes down to all of us sweating blood because we have to depend on a Josh Carty 40-yard field goal with no time left on the clock, right? I could see that happening as well. And I could see Josh Carty making it. So I like the Rams 27-17. 2-possession win. That's how I see it. All right. Let's see here. Michael Negretti. So the Chargers are squatting in SoFi. Yeah, that's what I think. USA Expat. Chargers should share a stadium with the Raiders considering their two owners. There you go. Wouldn't that be awesome if they did? Kitchens definitely on his way. Hope Forbes pans out because I'm sorry, this was G's Nuts, guys. I'm sorry. I should have said that to our audience. G's Nuts, thank you for joining in. Kitchens is definitely on his way. Hope Forbes pans out because we have been getting it lit at the corner position. The last 3 weeks have been kind of tough. I'm willing, again, just like I said for the defense in total, I'm willing to give the defense some grace in this game against the Bills because, again, there were throws that Josh Allen made that were incredible. Josh Allen with his wheels, Josh Allen with everything. They did just enough to win against a team that is Super Bowl worthy. Not only going to the Super Bowl, they could win the Super Bowl. That's how good the Bills are. And they did just enough to win that game. Purdy is not Josh Allen. And so I do think the other thing I do like, I usually hate Thursday games, but being that the Rams weren't too banged up and they're younger than the 49ers, just in terms of keeping momentum and not waiting a full week, it's like Rams are back on the field 3 days later and ready to knock heads on day 4, right? And so I think it's a good thing this is a Thursday night game, right? I really do. And where it's played makes no difference because the Rams never have home field advantage anyway. You know, masters of the silent count, as one of our friends here said earlier. So that's what I say. Let's see. Geez nuts. Rams 31, 49ers 17, right? Now we say that. That's what we see. That's what it should be. But isn't there something in all of us that just says, what could this be? You know, it could be, for everything we think, it could be 14-10, right? All I want to know is I just want to breathe the final minute of the game, right? Holding my breath the final 5 minutes, no bueno. I want to breathe in those final minutes of the game like, okay, we got this, right? Let's just run out the clock. Wouldn't that just be marvelous? All right, heading into week 15. I was 10-3 last week. I'm 133-75 on the season. Got off to a really slow start, but we've kind of picked it up here. So we got the Rams 49ers in the Hacksaw Rental Bowl, and we're taking the Rams 27-17. Sunday's games. Bummer, we have 2 Monday night games. And, of course, ESPN, the Galactically Stupid, and the NFL, they run those Monday night games concurrently instead of playing one early and playing one on the West Coast late. Why does it take someone like me to explain to a multi-billion-dollar organization that you're stupid? You want to garner the whole audience. You want to own Monday from 4 p.m. on the West Coast to midnight, right? And instead they run these games concurrently. And then they tell you what's going on in those other games. It's like, I'll watch both games. I'm not Colin Cowherd. I don't watch just for the players. I watch the games. I love watching the football games because every time you watch a football game, you learn something. Even as Steve Hartman says, if it's an alleged NFL game between the Jaguars and the Titans, you still learn something, right? So, yeah. Anyway, Sunday, Panthers, Cowboys in Carolina in the Steve Beuerlein Bowl. I'm going with the Panthers. Chiefs at Browns in the Frank Pitts Bowl. I'm going with the Browns in this one. Chiefs are cruising for a bruising. There's going to be a game where the foot comes off the pedal, and I think they could be they've been living on an edge. I think they're ready for an emotional drop a little bit, and then they'll get a recharge. I'm going to take the Browns in an upset over the Chiefs. Just remember, you heard it here first. Dolphins at the Texans in the Sage Rosenfels Bowl. I'm going with the Dolphins here. Dolphins have a lot to play for. Texans are staggering, right? They got the spaghetti legs. They're against the ropes, and they're waiting for the bell to ring. Jets 3-10 at the Jaguars in the Jeff Lageman Bowl. I'm going with the Jags. I think the Jets fired the last of their ammunition this past week, and I'm going with the Jags and Mac Jones in the Jeff Lageman Bowl. Taxkins at the Saints in the Billy Kilmer Bowl. I'm rooting for the Saints. But I got a feeling it's going to be the Taxkins. I hope I am wrong in this one. Ravens and Giants in the Chris Canty Bowl. I'm going Ravens. They'll have this game put away by halftime. And if Harbaugh is smart, Lamar Jackson has one series in the second half, and then he goes to the bench and you keep him healthy. Bengals at the Titans in the Pac-Man Jones Bowl. I'm going with the Bengals because they're still very, very dangerous, right? Patriots at the Cardinals in the Chandler Jones Bowl. Rooting for the Patriots. But I'm going with the Cardinals. But if the Cardinals lose this game and Kyler Murray does the body language or the finger pointing or the gestures here, I don't know what it's like in the clubhouse or the locker room. He could be losing this team already. It's just you don't want to play for those guys. You don't want to play for those kind of guys. And if I was the Cardinals, I hope they don't. I want them to keep him because yeah, I want them to keep paying that money to him, and I want them hamstrung because he's going to hold them back. If they win, everything's fine and dandy. But if they lose to the Patriots at home and fall to 6-8, yeah, go listen to some sports talk or some Cardinal podcasts and see what happens. Colts at Broncos in the John Elway Bowl. Think about it. Colts and Broncos in the John Elway Bowl. I'm going with the Broncos. Colts are doing with what is it? Baling wire and duct tape, right? Because Anthony Richardson looks great. You root for the guy, but his team is carrying him, and he makes that one big play or so. Broncos are a better team. Broncos had a nice rest. Broncos should win the John Elway Bowl. Bills, Lions in the Chris Spielman Bowl. I'm going with the Lions. I think the Bills lose another game, right the ship, finish 13-4, and then head into the playoffs with good momentum. But I think they're going to lose the Chris Spielman Bowl. Although I could see the Lions losing too. I think the Lions are like the Chiefs. I think they're getting ready for a fade here. I just do. Okay, let's see. Buccaneers at the Chargers. Buccaneers are 7-6. Chargers 8-5. The Vincent Jackson Bowl. That's at SoFi. The Mid-Valley Sports guys are going to be there. That should be a great game. That should be a really good game. And I love Sundays when the Rams have already played. It's just kind of makes it a little bit easier. I look forward to watching that game because it'll be forced down my throat with our local channels. Steelers at Eagles in the LeGarrette Blount Bowl. I'm going with the Steelers. I'm going with the Steelers in this game, even though it's in Philly. I think Steelers have some momentum, and I think we're going to find out a lot about the Eagles. If the Eagles have a collapse, if the Eagles have a collapse, boy, they got a lot of weird stuff happening in Philly. It's going to be a repeat of last year. There's going to be real serious stuff fallout from that. If they win, that means they just put it to bed and they look like the 78 Yankees. Sunday night, Packers at Seahawks, Matt Hasselbeck Bowl. We are rooting, of course, for the Packers. I'm taking the Seahawks until I think the Seahawks are going to win. I don't want them to win. Rooting for the Packers in this one, of course. Monday night, Bears at Vikings in the Bob Grimm Bowl. Anyone remember Bob Grimm? I'm taking the Vikings against the Bears. Falcons at Raiders is the other Monday night game. That's the Jeff George Bowl. And I think the Falcons, they're probably going to run Michael Penix. Are they going to run Michael Penix this week? Be a really interesting. Raiders are the team to run him against, and that'd be a national debut for Michael Penix. There we go. All right. I think we got that in there. USA Expat. ESPN owned by Disney. Say no more. Yeah, I don't get it. I do not get why you don't stagger those games. I can't for the life of me understand why you don't get it. Let's see. Unane. Pastor Joe, we are Super Bowl 59 bound in the mighty name of Jesus. Okay. I will be with you on your live chat all the way through Super Bowl 59. We will give God the glory in advance. I'm going to say thank you if the Rams win. There we go. Jimmy, 553. If the Rams beat San Francisco, Jets are next, right? I don't want to be thinking about the Jets. The nice thing, again, Rams, I think, have momentum right now. You're playing while you're hot. They're a younger team than Frisco, playing on short rest, so it helps the Rams, keeps the momentum up, keeps the fire burning from what happened on Sunday. And then after a very physical game on tomorrow night against the Jets, the Rams get 10 days. 10 days to heal up, 10 days to not overlook the Jets, right? You don't want to beat Buffalo and Frisco and then stumble. I was going to say at Shea Stadium, but you don't want to stumble in the Meadowlands, right? You don't want to stumble there in New Jersey against the Jets. So I think this is setting up really nice for the Rams. I really, really do. Higbee, as last I heard, has not been activated. He is not playing. There we go. All right. I know. Ooh, man, I went over an hour, guys. Sorry about that. Let's finish this up. My man. All right. On this date in 1980, the Rams signed former Penn State running back Lydell Mitchell. Anyone know about Lydell Mitchell? I'm not going to answer it for you. Born on this date in 1934, former All-Pro wide receiver, played 4 years with the Rams. Del Schaffner, with a first-round pick acquired in the Andy Robustelli deal. Del Schaffner was born in 1934, ultimately traded to the Giants for a first-round pick in 1962. Drum roll, please. Does anyone know who Del Schaffner was traded for, who the Rams picked up with that pick they acquired from the Giants? His name is Roman Gabriel. There you go. Passing away on this day in 1991 at the age of 52, Joe Schiavelli. Joe Schiavelli passed away at the age of 52, missed just 8 games in his career. 7 of those were in 1969, 1 in 1972. Played 15 seasons at right guard for the Rams. Think about this. Again, I bring this up for the folks that just joined us. From 1965 through 1974, Joe Schiavelli was the right guard, okay? And then you had Ken Iman at center. Then you had, a year later, you had Tom Mack in 66 join the team. You had Charlie Cowan at right tackle, and then he moved to left tackle when Bob Brown came. But the Rams were running Schiavelli, Mack, Iman, and Cowan out there for close to 10 years, some of them for over 10 years. I think Mack was 9, that offensive line stayed together. And it was bliss. It was wonderful when you look back on it. Really good. Also passing away on this day in 2010, former Ram running back Dick Horner. At the age of 88, he was part of the Bull Elephant backfield with Deacon Dan Towler and Tank Younger. And he was part of the championship team in 51. He was traded in the deal that it brought the Rams Les Richter. All right, there we go. Tomorrow, since we're not on the air, on December 12th, 1973, Rams offensive coordinator Dick Vermeil resigned to take the head coaching job at UCLA. And that same day, the Rams signed former Jets wide receiver Don Maynard. He never played a down for the Rams. On that day, December 12th, that's tomorrow, 2016, the Rams fired Jeff Fisher as head coach. There we go. And tomorrow is Andrew Whitworth's birthday. He turns 43. There we go. I think we got it. I think we got it all in. There we go. All right. All right, guys. Any questions real quick here? We are over an hour, so I got to roll. Yeah. So, guys, I appreciate you. If you have not signed up, please sign up. Ooh, Steve Ramirez. You met Les Richter, was a great guy. Got to meet him in 1996. That's awesome. Good for you, Steve. That's pretty cool. All right. Got to go, guys. Check us out on Spotify from the RamCave. We need followers there. We're not doing so well. But sign up here, subscribe, like, leave comments. We will see you on Friday talking about the Rams win. God bless.